Is that
Okay.
fan going to work? Is
This-
that going to bother that fan?
It shouldn't. If you need the fan on, that's fine. You know.
That's far away.
Yeah. This is the interview with Marie Rupp at her home down Archibald by the Archibald Historical Society on July 19th, 2012. I guess we'll start off. What is your full name?
Marie T. Rupp.
Okay. Do you know why your parents chose that name for you?
My name was supposed to be Patricia.
Oh, okay.
Because I was born on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh.
And my mother was in the hospital and she was very bad. And in them days they took babies out of the hospital to be baptized. And they took me out of the hospital to be baptized. And the doctors wanted me to be Patricia. And Father McGuire was the priest. And when I got to the church, he said, "What's the name going to be?" And my father said, "Patricia." He said, "No, it's not. Because Patricia is an Irish name and Rupp is a German name. Her name
Oh,
is
wow.
her name is going to be Marie Therese."
Wow.
You
Wow.
couldn't pick your own name?
Wow. What were your parents' names?
Mary Brown Rupp and Joseph John Rupp.
Okay. Where were their parents born?
Well, my father's parents were born in Germany, and I'm not quite sure of the names. I
Okay.
can't. Maybe it was Saarbrücken, or I'm really not sure.
Oh, okay. Was your family name changed at all?
No.
No. Okay. What nationality is your name?
German. Rupp is German, and I'm half Irish and half German.
Okay. Where did your parents live before you were born?
My mother lived in this house right here.
Oh, okay.
And my father lived up on Number 5 Hill, where Patsy McLaughlin lives now.
Yeah, I know where she's at.
Mm,
Do you know how your parents met and married? How they got together?
they worked over at the mill, the silk mill,
okay.
over where. Well, I can't be talking at the same time.
The
Over
horse
the-
company.
Where the distillery and all that was over there.
I think it might. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
At the back there. I think there was a silk mill.
That was down where number 1 hose company is?
No.
Or up?
No, it was up at the back of Academy Street.
Oh,
You know, up with him, up there.
I thought it was down. There was something there, wasn't there? That, like where the hose company is now?
At one time, Ernie Smith had a garage there.
Oh,
Like a
I thought that
little
was.
tiny garage. And now Nancy Quinn, is that off now while I'm talking about this? Cause it's,
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, we go off on tangents. Okay.
This, she said she thought the Oddfellows Hall was over there, where the hose company was.
That was
But
over there.
I always thought the Oddfellows Hall was up further.
Across-
It was up at the around the middle bridge there.
Oh,
That's where I thought it was. Maybe, up where Donovan's, and I don't know, but Nancy now might remember because her Aunt Kate had Kinback's store with the candy and the ice cream and everything.
yeah.
So
Next
she,
to the Legion.
right next to the Legion. But I remember that, and then where Kenny Probst lives now, Charlie Ball had a little restaurant there. Charlie Ball's father. But
Okay.
young Charlie is dead now, but he was old as me. He had a restaurant
Okay.
there. And I'm sure he did.
He was at the Living Wake.
Yeah.
I remember
Mhm.
seeing him there.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yes, he was.
Mhm.
What did your father do for a living and where did he work?
He worked at the mill, the silk mill. He worked at the PWA. He worked in Caffrey's garage. He worked for the Lackawanna County as a truck driver.
So he never worked in the mines then?
No.
Well, that was probably good because a lot of people really took a toll on their health and everything. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. You got any questions, sir? You can interject any time. What are the names and ages of your siblings? Do you have any siblings?
Children, you mean?
No, like brothers and sisters?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're an only child?
I'm the only child.
Oh, okay. Whereabouts were you born?
In the Mid-Valley Hospital.
Oh, okay. What schools did you attend?
That's what I was going to.
Archibald High School up here. I went to school all my life, from first grade until I graduated.
Really? Wow.
And when I first went to first grade, there was 3 classes in each room, first, second, and third. Then when I went to 4th grade, I'm not quite sure if there was more than 1 or 2,
Mm-hmm.
but I was there the whole time.
Was that the school up on?
No, the school right up here that they tore down, where the park is.
The high school.
Oh,
Wow, I never knew they had grade school in there.
I didn't
thought it
Oh,
was just
yeah, yeah.
Really? Wow. Did you go with my mom, or was she ahead of you?
I think maybe your mother was a little bit ahead of me. May Carney was my first grade teacher,
Oh, okay.
and Miss Cummings was one of my, well, after I got out of that, May Carney taught 3 grades. And in one time, I was the only girl in 1 grade. I forget which one in the room.
Really? Wow, that's neat. Cummings, what Cummings? There was a Larry Cummings now, a teacher. I don't know if you remember him.
I heard of him.
Yeah, he had one leg cut out. He was
yeah.
my mom's uncle.
I heard of him, but this was May Cummings.
I don't know if she'd be related to me or not. Any other teachers you recall?
Well, let me see. There was.
You probably remember Professor Moore, right?
Oh, definitely. There was Professor Moore, but he never taught me. And E.H. Burke,
he used to live right here, didn't he?
A.J. Burke, Mary Hughes, Mary Durkin, Edwin Siddons. That's the high school ones. Nellie Dean. No. Was it Nellie Dean? It was a Dean. Maybe it was Nellie Dean.
Mm-hmm.
In the grade school.
Connors.
Grace Marin. There was Miss Connors. And there's probably more of them. They just can't come to my mind.
That was interesting. The other day you were telling me about Professor Moore and how he walked up there and he met his wife because he walked past her house every day going to Edgerton.
Yeah.
That's a long walk from here to Edgerton. It's a long walk.
We used to go and start the fires in the morning.
Wow.
Even in the snow, everything.
I guess he used to walk up. That's our man. See, when there was no such a thing as snow days when we went to school.
No.
But the only way that you got a snow day was if P.J. Burke couldn't go out to Ina to get the kids.
Or Sturgis.
And Nebraska.
Wow.
Now my Aunt Eleanor taught in Ina for a while. My Aunt Eleanor Brown, and she was married to Patty Marin. And when she first started to teach in Ina, PJ didn't have a bus. They went in a truck.
Really?
And there was her, and there was Lil White, and there was Mary Lane, and
I remember her too.
And Mary Lane, and I don't know now if there was Mary Holmes. And I don't know who, but I know Lil White and my Aunt Eleanor were out in Ina, and they taught. My Aunt Eleanor taught up in the old Hemlock building upstairs, and she took me out when there was. And then I remember when the Roosevelt School was first built, I was only small, and she took me out there to a play. Out there, they had a play on the stage and everything.
Where was that? Peckville, the Roosevelt School?
No, Roosevelt School was out on Ninan.
Oh, okay.
Where
right behind the church.
Right at the church.
Okay. Oh. Let's see. We're back at your childhood. Was your childhood enjoyable? By the way, these questions were made up by kids at the school for the Archibald Historical Society. Was your childhood enjoyable, and what activities did your family enjoy doing together?
Well, I remember when I was small, there was a band. I don't know what the name of it was. I don't know if it was called the Crystal Band or whatever. But I know they used to say that as soon as I'd hear the music, it'd go around the blocks all the time practicing, I guess, certain days of that night.
Wow.
And I used to call them the boom booms. Boom booms.
Yeah.
And my father used to be crazy taking me around to hear the boom booms.
Oh.
And I remember going over there at Hickory Street. My father used to take me over to watch them playing quoits.
Oh, really? Wow.
And up here behind, right over here where Alice McAndrew lives, and on behind Monroe Street, right through here you could cut over. there was Dolphins had a tennis court. And on a Sunday afternoon, people used to come from all over and play tennis there.
Was that the Mr. Dolphin that worked at the school?
Right.
Yeah, I remember him.
And they used to have tournaments, and people would be all over. And there was an awful lot, almost every year, there'd be a big carnival in the field. And then there'd be a big parade.
Wow.
And everybody would come and sit on your porch, and you'd have a lunch for all the people that from out of town that had come to the parade and sit on your porch to watch it.
That near Ryan Lindy's, like the
No,
field
the field was down here, where they had the field.
Oh, on South Laurel.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But the Quaints was over on Hickory Street.
Okay.
Ryan Lindy sat back farther.
He was next to the tracks.
Right. And
Okay.
see, the baseball field was bigger than it is now. My Uncle Frank and Dick Malone and Ed Malone, they used to play, and there was a Fitzpatrick. I don't know who, I kind of forget who. And Tom Price lived up here on the corner, and he was the bat boy. I had all kinds of pictures, and I sent them to him when they were in a nursing home of this baseball team. And probably Kathy Malone has their, probably Kathy Kelly, pictures of the baseball team.
Oh, really?
But they used to have
Desk.
like a baseball games and everything, but I don't remember that too much. But my grandmother Brown, we lived with her. She lived here, and her sister lived next door. And she had I can't think, Ambrose. I think his name was, I'm not quite sure, Ambrose Philbin. And the trains ran behind here. And it was before I was born. He was sitting on the railroad tracks watching a baseball game, and he was killed.
Oh,
wow. Were the trains that fast that he didn't have time to get up?
I don't know whether he fell asleep
maybe he was a little hard of hearing.
or what. I don't know.
When I was younger, the field was, it was the other way around, wasn't it?
Well, see that the field, down where Caljean's house is, a long time ago, that was like a railroad.
Yeah.
That used to come out.
That was the gravity.
I don't remember the railroad, but I know that was high, and we used to sleigh ride down that hill, right down here.
Laurel Street went under.
Mm.
That was the gravity.
And then the field was bigger, and Clarence Kraft, that has the house down on the end, he bought it from the borough, the land. And he owned that land for quite a while, and then Gerard O'Connor bought it, that was married to Shirley Coleman. And he built that last house. He built that down there. But the field had to be all turned around after he did that.
Yeah.
And then they complained to the borough, so from then on the borough wasn't allowed to sell any more land. Because he ruined well, he didn't ruin it, but they had to switch it all around because they used to have big baseball games down there.
I remember they used to bat this way. Once in a while, the ball would go over across the street.
Yeah.
And whack somebody's awning on the house or something.
Yeah.
Used to bat this way.
Yeah.
When you were a child, what type of games did you play? What did the kids play?
Red light, hopscotch, kick the can, hide and seek.
Oh,
I used to play.
I heard some of them. Red light I never heard of. How to?
Well, you'd run, and then somebody would say green light, and you'd run, and then somebody would say red light, and you'd stop.
Oh. Oh.
Now, do you think the kids today do that?
No, they're too busy looking at their.
Yeah, iPods.
I know.
Oh dear. What was your favorite food when you were young?
That's a kind of hard one. You don't really. I really can't say.
Okay. Okay. How about describe a memorial social function you attended, such as a wedding or a church social, with anything going on like that? Did they have things in the borough?
I remember that the PTA from the Catholic school used to have a picnic behind the church every 4th of July. And just one day. And what I can remember about that, they didn't have all these fancy games. They had a penny pitch that you pitch the pennies. And they used to have an orange tree. It was out of crepe paper. They had oranges, and they had numbers in there. And you'd pay maybe 2 cents or something, or 5 cents, and you'd get an orange, and whatever. If you got a number, you won a prize.
Oh.
And they'd only have hot dogs and soda. That's all they'd have.
Yeah. You know, speaking of the church, my mom told me a story about 6 months before she died. We used to go over to Barrett's every couple of weeks, and she'd be telling me stories. And she said there was a couple from down here in Dark Valley that walked up arm in arm, and they thought, well, a young couple there, you know, dating. Then they disappeared, and they thought, well, did he kill her, or what happened? They were hiding in the belfry of the church. Do you remember hearing anything about that? Pat Pratico did. My mom did. She told me all about the story, but I don't know if you heard about it or not.
There was something, but I just don't recall too much about that.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, Ma was a little bit older, like you said. Let's see. When you were growing up, where were the popular places for young people to go? Where did the kids hang out?
Well, it was a long time before there was any place really. And when Tony Durkin got out of the service, up here now, right across from where Austin, or where Burke, what's his name? I know, not Austin Burke. You know, yeah, that's Austin, isn't it?
Yeah.
The head of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, that's Austin.
Yes, Austin.
Well, it's across from there. Tony had a shop that we used to go and get ice cream and all that in it.
Across
and then
from,
across from there. It was just a little tiny. It was just, in fact, it's an apartment today. Like, you know, there's that house where Elaine, you know where Elaine lived? Elaine Kolsick, Elaine Durkin.
Oh, yes.
Well, on this side,
Across Laurel Street.
yeah, on this side here, there was this little place, and then when he came from the service, he opened a ice cream shop. Then he moved over town, and that's when he had when I was in high school and all that, that's when he had the big, Tony Durkin's was the hottest place in town. Everybody came from all over.
That was next to Probst's.
That was like
Next to Judge Bunley.
the liquor store. At one time, the liquor store was there, and I think his barber shop or his soda shop was there, maybe before the liquor store. There was that garage that Ed T.T. had.
That was on the corner, yeah.
Yeah,
It's only a little place.
Yes.
Yeah. And then across the street, of course, was Heffer's garage.
Yeah.
And
was that right next to Tony Alco's, where he used to live?
yeah, Heffer's was,
Or Jimmy
yeah.
Alco,
Yeah.
rather.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was before Jimmy Alco moved across the street. He was in the
He was in.
building with Mello there.
Yeah. There was
a
Mello's bar
A
room.
bar? Yeah.
Mello's bar room was there.
Right.
hmm
Yeah, I remember.
But now, when you said something about, I asked you that question, or I forget what I jumped to something else. What was it you asked about?
Well, what popular places were the young kids to go? How about Colley's Hall up here? Was that a...
I never went there, but a lot of people went dancing and all that there.
My mom did, yeah.
Yeah,
She told me
upstairs.
about
That was the post office, and I don't know if it was the Giant Market or whatever. Joe Reiner was the manager of that, and they were in there when when that building burned.
Yeah.
Joe Ronner, was he the guy, the bread man? He delivered
He was
bread?
the bread man.
Yeah, his wife, I think, just died.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I remember him. He
Yeah,
died a long time
yes.
ago in the early 70s, I think. I remember Joe Ronner. Yeah, we had the bread man, we had a milkman, we had Cure. Do you remember Cure, the milkman?
We had the umbrella man.
Umbrella man.
He used to go around. He used to go around, and he had a bell, and he sharpened knives and fixed umbrellas.
Oh, yeah.
Up on the corner here, there was Jack Hawley's store, and we used to drive the man crazy. He had penny candy, and you'd go and you'd get your bag. He'd give you your bag. No, he'd hold the bag, and you'd pick out what you wanted, and he might say you wanted that, and he'd put it in the bag, and then after a while he'd say, no, I want that. Then you'd have to take that out of there, and he'd put it back in the bag.
For pennies.
And then every once in a while there was a fella would come, and we used to call him the hurdy-gurdy man. and he'd grind the hurdy-gurdy, and he had a monkey, and the monkey would come and sit on his shoulder, and you'd give the monkey, I don't know if it was a nickel or a penny, and he'd give you something, and that was supposed to be your fortune.
Would that be the organ grinder they call? He had the organ there.
No, I didn't have no organ. I don't know. He had this box, and he used to grind it.
Oh, wow.
And then,
Well, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
and then there was the Iceman. There was DeFazio and Bishop,
Oh, yeah.
and why we'd be going out stealing the ice, but they'd give it to you. It's when they crack the ice. They have the pieces of ice would be all there. When we'd see the Iceman, we'd all run out and be grabbing the ice off the truck.
Wow.
You know, the pieces.
Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah, they weren't gonna use them anyway.
Right, right. And anyhow, let me see now. There was the Eggman, there was the huckster, there was a couple hucksters, there was the insurance man had come, the milkman, the bread man, a fellow that used to sell green apples. What were they? Some kind of a name. I can't think of what the name of it is. And
How about the salary guy from the church?
the salary
He
guy.
used to come around.
There was Joe Daly's father was the salary guy
Oh, yeah?
for a while. And then there was Mr. Moran from Salem Road.
Yes, I
That's
remember
who-
him.
That's
Yeah.
who we had.
I remember him.
Yeah, Mr. Moran.
Yes.
And he'd come on around for $1 a month.
Yeah, boy.
And so
He was at the bottom of Carbon Street there, right on.
I can tell you different
Yeah.
things about the gravity down here.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Okay.
I can remember when I was small that my Uncle Frank, that was my mother's brother, he worked down there like it, but he didn't work in the mines. He worked in the gravity.
His name was Brown?
Yeah, Frank Brown. And if there was an accident, there was a whistle, and it used to blow. And all the people would go out because that meant that there was somebody hurt in the mines.
Oh, you mean the gravity slope?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then it'd blow, and that meant that there was an accident in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody would come running out.
Yeah, you didn't know who it was.
And then if somebody, if they were killed or they had to go to the hospital, they had a little old black thing that they used to take them in up the street.
Wow.
And I don't know how old I was. Hubert Moore lived over there in that house over there where Jimmy Murphy's wife lives now. And his wife was a very good friend of Joe O'Rourke's mother that lived up now where Austin Burke lived.
Next to there.
They lived up in that house there where Austin Burke lived, or upstairs or someplace. And I can remember Mrs. Moore coming over, telling my mother and everybody that Joe O'Rourke's father was killed in the mines. And I can still remember the black thing taken when we were all out here when he was killed.
Yeah.
And Joe was only a baby
Uh,
when that happened. I can remember that. And I can remember my father used to go, I don't know, he used to go up and take his father. He used to work in the mines. And give him a ride back up to number 5 Hill. And I can remember going down waiting for him to come out and talking about the shifting chalet. I can remember the water coming out of there that they used to go in and take their showers
yeah.
down there, and then they came out of there.
Hmm.
And the people that worked there, they'd come in droves. You know, they'd go by the house. They walked. There was no cars
Just
there.
walk. Yeah.
They'd all walked.
Yeah.
And every day, if there was people, you'd say hello to them and everything. And I remember one time, I was really young, I think, but I can remember. There was an awful lot of noise in the middle of the night, like shouting. And I remember of going up into the front bedroom, and we were looking out, and there was some kind of a strike. And people came from Einan and different places, and they were like chanting or something. And the state police were here, and they had, I can remember that they had big high hats, and they rode horses. And the people were walking down in the middle of the road about the strike.
Wow.
That's in the back of my mind.
Wow.
Because I remember getting woke up in the middle of the night.
That was That was, like, when? What date?
Oh, well, if I'm 83, I was about maybe 3 or 4 years old. And I can remember that.
So then, 30s or late
Oh,
20s?
it must be, probably,
Oh,
yeah, because I was born in 1929.
29?
Yeah.
And that was this house you lived in?
Uh-huh.
So they were out here?
That's right. They were down by here, and I remember the
Wow.
probably young because you know how you love horses.
Yeah.
And I remember the horses with the police with the big hats, and they were all had some kind of. But getting back to the carnivals, there's carnivals down there. There would be droves of people, and they had every kind of amusement, and that was great for the whole week.
Wow.
And then they'd always have a big parade with fire trucks and bands and all that. That went on for years. And then, of course, when the field got smaller, they couldn't have it. But I think it was pretty well gone. They stopped having them down there, you know, by that time.
And there wasn't much to do in those days.
No.
They liked carnivals and parades.
Yeah.
And
I remember my father, when they'd come down, my father'd stay up all night watching them putting it up and taking it down.
Wow.
Mm,
Do you remember the Parson family that lived right down the road here?
yeah.
Do you remember what happened there?
Yeah, but I don't like to talk about that
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they
it
were
was
very
sad.
they were very good friends
It was sad,
of my mothers and fathers. They lived next door,
Yeah.
and we kept in touch with them and everything. And they never really
Wow.
wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Some things you don't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
so that.
You know what? How about floods and fires? You remember?
In 40, what was it? 41.
That was, yeah, I think
41.
that was.
My father worked on the county road, and that was my grandmother was living here and she was getting older then, and my mother and myself. And my Aunt Eleanor, that lived here, was living up on number 5 Hill in Marion's house because she married Patty Marion. And they were all in the service. She was the only one that was up there in the house. And my father worked on the county road, and he came over and he said, "You're going to have to get out because they expect a flood." And we didn't want Grandma to stay. He said, "We better get her out because we won't be able to get her out if it comes over." And so we went up, and then my Uncle Frank lived in where Mary Brazit lives on Gilmartin Street. And the breaker had closed down, and he was down someplace at a school learning some kind of a trade. And I don't know how he got up. He walked up the railroad tracks. I don't know where he came from. If somebody left him up so far. And we took his son and his wife. We went up. Everybody was up. And my Aunt Nell lived over next to where Nicky Mancoos lived. That was my grandmother's sister.
Oh.
And we took her. She was old as my grandmother. And Nan Philbin Burke. She married a Burke later. She was there. She came with us. We all went up on number 5 Hill to keep the flood.
Pretty safe up there.
Up there. So, anyhow, Tom Malone and them, but they came down in a rowboat, and they wondered where we were. But the Morans had stayed in their house. So, well, most of the people stayed in their house. But my father was worried that he wouldn't get over to get my grandmother out, and that's why he wanted to get us up there. But it wasn't the river that came over. It was when the dam broke.
Oh,
The water came down the street, and the water came up as far as the bottom step.
That's the year that the footbridge.
The footbridge
washed out,
went, and when where Dr. Casey is now,
That
was moved out
Yeah.
over to the
Yeah.
That'd be the
pot.
flood of 42, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
42.
Yeah.
And I remember that down here in Fours, her birthday was, I think, the 22nd of May. And every May they used to have a great big birthday party. And that's all that was bothered me, was that there wouldn't be a birthday party. But they had the birthday party, but there was all sand around. And over town, everything was sand. Like it wasn't that they had, the river came over there that much, but it was sand.
So both sides of the river.
Yeah,
Flood, right?
yeah, but the main thing over here wasn't from the river, it was from the dam.
The dam.
This house got flooded too?
No, it just
No?
came as far as,
Oh.
it just came as far as the steps,
Oh, wow.
the bottom step.
But it left mud and everything.
And it left
Yeah.
mud and sand.
How about the
and,
basement? Did that fill up?
No,
No?
no,
No?
No.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah.
no. It didn't, it just came that far and it stopped.
Wow. What kind of heat did you use in the house back then?
Cool. Put not a stoker, but a fire
The
that you had
hand
to put, yeah.
Yeah, the hand fire furnace. And my
Mhm.
father had one when we first
Yeah.
moved in up
Yeah, I think everybody mostly
Yeah.
did.
there. Yep. Did you say anything about big fires? You remember any big fires in town?
Well, where my father worked in the mill over town, that was burnt down. See, now I'm confused about that mill. I don't know if that was where the liquor store or where the liquor place was with
The- The distillery was, well, right next to Spling's
Right.
up there. Yeah.
Well, back in there was a mill and it caught on fire.
Oh,
And I think maybe that's where they
maybe that
built
was
it.
before,
Maybe that happened before the distillery was
maybe.
made. And I remember that during the war they couldn't get any help much at the distillery, and my father used to take extra time and work, drive a truck, and go over here on Cherry Street, and they used to load the malt or the meal or whatever that they used to make the liquor out of.
Oh,
They used to load it in a truck, and he used to drive the truck, and somebody used to load it. I don't know if it was where that Gallen has his house built, or if it was up right next to the railroad.
I mean, it came off the train?
Right, it came off. They used to come and there was a building there that they used to store it in,
Oh.
and then I think that the train used to put the stuff in
Okay.
it, and then the truck used to go over and get it out.
Backing up a little bit, you said your grandmother lived in this house, would you?
Oh yeah,
You remember her well?
sure.
When did she die? How old
She was
were you?
83 when she died.
How old were you then?
Well, I was working in the shoe factory then, so
Oh, okay.
I was
Your
probably
grandfather, was he living here too? or
No, my grandfather died, I think, in the 19, I don't know, I never remember him at all.
Did he work in the mines?
He probably did, but
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
Oh. Let's see. How about, did you always have electricity in the house?
Mhm.
How about a telephone? When did you get the...
It was quite a few years before we had a telephone. The reason why we got the telephone then was because my aunt was a teacher, and she was a substitute teacher, and she had to have the telephone.
Yeah.
But I remember the neighbors coming in using the telephone.
Were they party lines back then?
Oh yes,
Wow.
we had a two-party line, I think.
Oh, so there was another family along with yours on
Yeah.
it? And if you picked it up, you heard them, you just had
Yeah.
to hang it up?
Uh-huh.
I wonder if they listen in every now and then.
We used to have, our phone number was 737M.
Oh,
And the neighbor
Really?
was R, and then there was, I don't know what other letters. Some had 2, there's 3, I think there was 4 party too.
mine was 236R.
236.
R.
3 numbers.
Mhm.
Now the numbers
Oh,
that
that
long.
it drives you crazy.
Okay, you were born in this house here. Did you ever move out of it or no?
No.
Yeah, okay. That was one of the questions.
I have
had.
the deed of this house, and I can't get head nor tail out of it. Like, this house has to be 200 years old, and people laugh at me. These two houses were built together, and we shared like the driveway. Because like it's not a driveway, it was a cow path. That's what it was.
Really?
They didn't have driveways in them days because there wasn't cars.
No.
And so my grandmother's sister lived there, and she lived here. And then when her father died, that lived over where next to Mancous's, that was the McGrail that lived there. And my aunt moved over there, and then I'm not sure if it was a Colley and Walsh or a Revels and somebody that built those two houses. And then they were going to start selling the houses, and that's when my grandmother bought the house. But that's a way back, but this house is old.
Is that Grace Marion, or is that
Grace
the
Maron's house is next to this white one,
second one?
the second one.
Okay.
Where did Professor Moore live?
That's
On
where
this-
he did,
oh,
where
right there?
Grace Maron lived.
Oh, okay.
But he didn't live there all the time. They rented when they first got married. Grace was born over where Mooch McGowan lived on Pine Street.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Madeline was born here.
Okay. But he met his wife up on number 5 Hill. She
Yeah.
was a Caffrey, I think you
Right.
said?
Yeah, Winifred Caffrey.
Winifred, oh, okay. Well, besides your immediate family, did anyone else live in your household when you were growing up?
No.
Any boarders? Because there was a
No.
lot of boarders back then.
Yeah, but there was no room because we had
Yeah.
my aunt, my father, and my grandmother, and myself, and
Oh,
so we couldn't have any boarders.
Let's see. What interesting stories have been told to you from your parents or grandparents? Did they have any kind of stories to tell about when they were growing up?
Oh, I have. They used to tell a lot of stories, but it would take me. I can't. I couldn't remember them. You know, really. The other part I can't remember.
Wow. What expressions or favorite sayings were used in your family? Did they have any expressions, or was any of your family members bilingual? Did they speak any other languages?
Well, my father never. He was German, and he didn't know many words. I know he used to say "Dummkopf" if you did something wrong, "Dummkopf," and I can't really think of any.
How old were you when your father passed away? Were you young, or?
I was in my 20s.
Ah, okay. How were the holidays celebrated in your family when you were young?
Oh, we have always
A lot of people, a lot of
Yeah.
visitors, a lot of
like
relatives.
that was one time the visitors, if my father had trains and all that, and visitors had come, and it wasn't like now. We'd always have cookies and wine, and everybody in the neighborhood would have to come in, but nobody does that anymore.
I know. You said he had trains, like model trains?
Yeah.
Electric ones?
Mhm.
Really? Wow, that's interesting.
And I got rid of them after he died. See, he died suddenly with a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Jimmy Fury bought them
Did he?
for $25. and
all of them?
there was 3 of them. One was a Lionel, it was a silver one, and then I don't know. Then Bonnie Conahan, I think, was really supposed to get them, and I don't know, somebody belonging to Jimmy's wife or something, I think, got them.
They're dead quite a while.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause
I wonder-
well, I remember my father died in the 29th of December, 1957. And at that time, you gave me a picture. But remember when your mother
I was going to bring that and I forgot.
and you gave me a picture
In the hose company.
in the hose company, and my father belonged to the hose company, and we used to have the ladies used to have the auxiliary, and we had.
Okay, right.
We used to have card parties over there,
Yeah.
and then I can remember that where Keogh's building was, when the hose company was up there, they had a couple Halloween parties, and Joe Quinn and Jimmy Fury got dressed like apes, and they went down to Peckville or someplace and got on the bus.
Oh.
And rode the bus up and got off at the hose company because nobody knew them, and they
Right.
were apes.
Got there from out of town.
And my father was dressed like a lady. He had a sweater and a wig and everything, and my mother had a tuxedo on. I don't know. I really forget. I had some kind of an outfit on. I remember Nancy Quinn was a bunny rabbit. And then of course, like your mother and my father and my mother and all that, they were dancing and everything. We were, oh, I was old and then older, we could have danced too. But there was so many people
This was in the hose company?
in the back where Keogh's is.
It wasn't very big.
No, but this is what I'm getting at. There was so many people that the building started to sway.
Go in the river.
Wow.
And there was so many people in there, and
Oh,
we
man.
had that about twice, I think. And then when that building was built, that was they had a dinner. I don't know if I have that picture or not, like it was in the paper. They had an anniversary dinner, and I was the president of the auxiliary that time. And there was Jack Lake and
Yeah.
Marguerite Lake and Wilbert Simon, and Alice Simon, his wife,
Clarence Gerhardt?
and Clarence Gayhart, and I know at the
Father.
table there was Father McGinley, and there was
Those other guys.
who else was there?
Who lives up on Dutch Hill? I remember him being Russell Maines.
Yeah,
Russell Maines.
yeah, he was in it too. But I remember at the table,
Oh, your table.
at that table, there was Jimmy Brady was there. He was some kind of a, and I hope I have that up there. It was in the paper. And now I remember, this is off the books, I remember that they had flowers, and Father McGinley was a great one to get anything for nothing. And the flowers disappeared, and I guess that he'd sneak the flowers out the back door or whatever. Because he bought a little tiny car from Claire Caffrey, and he had the doors tied on it with the rope. And if he was coming down through Frogtown and there was coal on the road, he'd stop and go out and pick the coal.
I heard he had the back seat taken out.
Yeah.
The coal
And he'd put the coal in it.
Yeah.
But I know he was the priest that was there, and there was Jimmy Brady was the speaker. And then was a Reedy, maybe Ursula's father, or
Speedy or
maybe Speedy's father. I think he was in.
What was his name? Martin.
It might have been Martin. Yeah.
Maybe.
I remember that.
I think so.
Now, speaking of Father McGinley, my grandmother used to work for him. Do you remember her? My mom's mom?
Yeah, oh, sure.
Big
In fact, my mother, when she was awful bad when I was born, and they had her come and help do the wash and all that.
Really? My grandmother?
Yeah. So your grandmother used to work, she worked in Parsons, and
Yes,
she did an odd thing here. She used to work for Mrs. Bourne.
Oh, did she really?
Oh, yeah. She used to work up there, too.
You know the step behind the church, that one step there when you walk down, and Mom said she tripped on the ice and broke her hip, and that's why she got arthritis. Probably 1958 the arthritis started setting in. But before that, she was a very fast walker.
And she used to come and visit my grandmother, and after that.
Oh, really?
Because Alice remembered coming down here. She was a little bit older than me, and
she was born at 25.
Playing with different things, you know.
Oh, really?
And all that. They used to come to visit. But
wow. Yeah, my grandmother was born in 1883 and died in 1976. She was going to be 93 later that year.
And then they had, I don't know who had the picnics. If it was the church, they used to have baby parades.
Oh, really?
And things like that, because I know my father walked with Eddie Mayer now, old Eddie, he's in his 60s. And because he used to spend a lot of time down here, because my aunt owner was married to Patty, and he was always down here in our house. And my father walked, and he was Eddie was a little fatty, and he was in a thing, more like a boxing thing, in a boxing outfit in the baby parade.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this stuff. And like this priest, he doesn't realize all the things that we did have. Like when he was having that May crowning and all that. When they had a May crowning up here, the girls would get wedding dresses for people that were married.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the one that would crown it would be maybe an 8th grade student. And she'd be dressed in a wedding dress, and then the court would be in the bridesmaids' dresses. I remember Natalie Boland was one, Nancy Quinn I think was one.
I never heard of that.
Well, that they used to have it in the garden with the statue that got washed away, and that's over in the convent. The Blessed Mother statue was in where there's a statue there now, but that wasn't the original one.
Oh.
That was washed with the flood. That was taken across the street, and the hand was smashed. And see, the hand, that's the statue that's over in where the sisters lived.
Yeah.
That's the statue that's there, and Hank Robinson was trying to get a hand made for it, and he could never get the hand made for it. And that's why there's flowers like on the hand. But that was the original statue.
Never knew that.
No, I didn't
And
either.
it was
Oh.
washed over against the.
Oh, boy.
And then I used to hear my grandmother saying, and different ones. I don't know. I don't think it was the 1940 flood because I would remember that. But there was something happened at the church. I think they had a fire before quite a while ago.
1909. They
And
had
the
a big fire
people
in
that worked in the fellow that was the head of the mines and the breaker, he paid the people from they did it on their own. Went up and worked for and to fix the church. He let them take off and go up and fix the church.
That was where the candles were, I think it started, or
I don't know.
something.
That's a long time
It was
ago.
up front.
That's when the records burn. I know that.
That
so
was-
the old cemetery. They're
Yeah.
all burnt. They're
Yeah,
gone.
they're all burned.
They're
The
burned,
records,
yeah.
yeah, the old cemetery.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. But I mean, there was different things that.
How about
Like-
mine cave-ins? Do you remember anything like that?
I remember that over there on Park Street. Now Marilyn Flood had a house over there, but I don't think
Yes.
it was hers. I think it might be where Timmy Calais is living there now because my Aunt Barbara Casey lived next door. All of that went down in the mines.
Oh, right there.
There was right in the back garden.
Really?
And because there was trucks and trucks of dirt that filled it up. And then of course Altier's house went down in the mines that time.
That was
and
in the
it
60s.
It
I
went
think I
right
remember.
down just to the top. You could just see the top of the house
Where was that? Over on...
on Spruce
On
Street.
Spruce Street?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the whole house went down?
You could just see the roof.
Oh,
No, that was before my time then. Wow, I didn't know
No, that was in I think I must be working in the shoe factory then. That's not.
Wow.
I was younger when that happened over there with the
Yeah.
with that. That was a big hole when it went down in the mines.
Was there many men killed in the mines in Archbold?
I couldn't tell you how many, but I know there was a few.
Really?
And a lot of people lost their legs or their arms or they were hurt.
Wow.
Now Prof Morin only had one arm,
How did that
and
happen?
I think they said that he got hurt when he went working in the mines and when he was only 12 years old or something. I don't know if that's when
Wow.
that happened or
Was
what.
that his right arm that was...
I forget. And it was a funny thing. Prof Kelly lived next door to them. He wasn't born or that around here.
Right.
And he was a teacher. And he only had one arm.
Really?
But I don't know how that happened. And they lived right next door to each other.
Wow. So Professor Morin lived at the very next house, right? to the
Not
right?
this one, but the
Second one.
next
The second
one.
one
The
up,
second
okay.
one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a long walk from there to Edgerton. It's at least 4 miles one
Well,
way.
I don't know. He didn't. I think he didn't live there then. They moved down here when Madeline was born. I don't know. And Grace was born over on Pine Street over there. So I really don't know exactly where they lived then. You know, when he used to go up there.
They just had Madeline
they're
and
in-
Grace
And John.
and John. Okay.
But the lady that lived here, Mrs. McDonald, was his aunt, and he's lived with her for a while. I don't know, his mother and father must have passed away young or something. I don't remember when he lived here. I only remember when he,
Yeah.
when he started going to school and all that, and when they moved here.
what was your first job? Marie?
I worked in the shoe factory.
That was your first job?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you work at Foots? Because I seen a
I
movie.
worked in Foots.
I remember you working up there. Yes, I was
Yeah.
small.
Yeah, I worked in Foots, and I worked in Quinns.
Nice.
Okay.
See, I went there for a while. There was a lapse because I stayed home. My mother wasn't getting along good, and I was taking care of her.
Do you remember my grandfather's Richard Loftus? The first barber shop. It was in between the Legion and Vera's.
I kind of
Nancy's
remember
house?
that. I kind of remember
My
that.
grandmother always said that was his first barber shop.
Yeah,
It was right behind the Legion.
right.
But
right.
nobody remembers it.
I kind of remember because let me see. There was a Fitzsimmons that was a barber over there too. That used to. I don't know if he used to work for your grandfather or if he went in there, because I remember them talking about this Fitzsimmons.
Because I have 2 pictures. They're different barber shops with them.
Yeah,
You moved from there down, like next to the movies.
yeah.
Right there, you had the barber shop. And
And
nobody remembered that one.
And Kate had the bowling alley where Kate Kinback was.
Came back.
When you go up there like that, you'd get the candy. It was like, of course, she was a nice lady, but she was a strict lady. She wasn't like, we used to drive him nuts. And,
Candy.
but you could get, I remember the Sundays, you'd get like a ice cream, and it'd be all colors. It would open Kinbacks up there.
Oh.
And so the movies was only about 5 cents or something. I remember Tony Colley that had it. And then Dick's wife sold the tickets when he was in the service.
Oh.
And then Mary Jane Grogan, Millie's sister, she used to sell the tickets and that over there. You know, for a long time too. When he was in the service, Dick's wife used to have her selling the tickets there.
When I was either a junior or a senior, Mary Jane was just starting to teach. She taught French. I haven't seen her.
Well, she just had her knees operated on not too long ago, and she's married. She lives up in Massachusetts.
Oh, no wonder I don't
And
see
now her husband has, I don't know if it's on the order of a stroke or whatever it is, you know. You know, Katie has MS. Katie Nolde.
I heard that. Boy.
And it came on so fast. Now my friend across the street, she's getting married next month. She's getting married in St. Anne's. She started going with this fellow. He was a teacher and he belonged to St. Anne's, and his family lived down there. And she never abused herself. She had a good diet. She took care of herself. She had it, and they said she had it like maybe 2 or 3 years, and she didn't know she had it. And they were treating her for pinched nerves and all this. She thought she heard it when she was on water skiing or skiing. But this came on Katie so fast that she just couldn't get out of bed one day, and she was dizzy. And of course the doctor thought it was the middle ear. And she kept getting worse and worse, and when they took her to the hospital, she got so that she couldn't even walk or anything. So then she came out of that, and has been going to specialists. Now Teresa has to take some kind of a shot in her stomach every day. Every day for the rest of the first medicine they took, it didn't work, but the second medicine is working. Now her father has cancer. He's not good. They're living over there. Paul Kelly has cancer. He's not good. And it's unreal.
A lot of people get lung cancer, never even smoke.
No,
Yeah,
I know. It's really something.
Were there any funerals ever held out of this house?
Yeah, my grandmother was buried out of this house. My Uncle Frank's wife was buried out of this house.
Wow.
And then my father. But then after that, when my mother was, she was in Kenny's funeral home.
Yeah. What was your grandmother's name?
Emily McGreal, she was, and she married Brown.
Oh, okay.
William Brown.
She's buried up in St. Thomas up here in the old section.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, those records would be all.
They're all gone because I had my great granduncle or something that was in the Civil War that's buried up there.
Really?
And we wanted to get my mother always put flowers on it. I couldn't be going around to all these people that they used to be putting flowers on. But they tried to get a marker, and they'd have to have the discharge papers.
What was his name?
And they couldn't get the charge. McGrail.
And he fought in the Civil War. He was. How was he related to you?
He would be. I think he would be my granduncle. I think he was my mother's uncle.
And he fought in the Civil War. So you don't remember him? He died before you were born.
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember any Civil War veterans when you were small? My father did. 1 or 2 in Germany. He said he remembered.
Yeah. I don't.
He was born in 23.
But when they went, and then she said she was going to get a marker and put it on the grave. And when we went, they said you can't because the grave is here. And we don't have the map, and we don't know who's buried who. You know,
right, yeah.
It could be you put a marker, and it might be your grave.
There's somebody else there.
Yeah, that's true. Oh. Do you remember the Great Depression?
I don't remember that much. I remember when my father didn't have any work, and he got a job at the WPA, and Then he went working after that. He went working for Claire Caffrey up there on the street. Pat Pradica worked there too, in
Caffrey?
Claire Caffrey's, yeah.
Oh.
Mhm. And so.
Did your parents own a car when you were young? Did they ever have a car?
No, my father used to drive my grandfather's car.
What kind was that? What year, model?
Well, it was on that picture, I think. No, that wasn't. He didn't drive that one. I don't remember that. I know it was a black Dodge,
Oh, really? Wow.
and it when I was small, it probably was in 30s.
Mm-hmm. Wow. When did you buy your first car? And do you remember what it was?
My father bought the cars. I didn't. After my father died, I bought. When that car got ruined or outdated and everything, I bought a car from Ernie Smith. I think it was a second-hand car. It was Sonny Mahan, they used to call him. I think his name was Jim. It was a second-hand car. And I remember young Ernie wanted me to buy it, didn't want me to buy it because it was too big. There was a car there that was a smaller car, and it had to have repair done on it, like it was in an accident.
Oh.
And I don't know, I had right to pay attention to him and buy it because that big car was too much.
Yeah, they were big and heavy.
I tried to, it was in the garage more than it was on the road. But he wasn't abused and all of this, but.
Now, was this road out here, was that dirt when you were growing up, or was it brick?
It was brick, and I remember, maybe it was dirt before the brick was, I don't remember the brick or anything being put in it. But I remember when I came home from lunch one day at the Quinn's. It was Quinn's or Foots, I don't know which. They were out digging the bricks up. And my mother said, "We paid for them bricks. And what are they going to do with them bricks? We need to see." They had to pay like so much for the some of the sidewalk and that out there. And so I said, "Well, I'll get you a couple pails of that." So I went out and I got some bricks. And the guy on the truck said, "Lady, do you want bricks? I'll give you a whole truck full of bricks." So I said to my mother, "What would you do with the whole truck full of bricks?" I'm getting a couple cans. I got a bricks. Frank Dolphin came out and he was getting the bricks and he made a little path into the house with the bricks.
The sidewalk.
And anyhow, the bricks was around for a long time. In fact, I'm jumping over it. I had a brick belonging to the high school, and we had one of our reunions. That was a prize I gave. One of the bricks from the high school.
Wow. So they dug all the bricks up to pave over on top of it? On top of the road?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, they took all the bricks out of it.
Well, the other streets, they said they just covered them right over.
Paved right over the
Up
bricks.
further.
Yeah, but no, down here they took
But
the
here
bricks.
they took the bricks.
They took the bricks because I still have an odd one that's around that in the flower garden or something like that, but they took the bricks out of it.
Did it only go as far as?
Grass down at the end here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, and I don't know how
Park
far.
Street, yeah.
And they up as far as that corner there. So
Uh-huh.
no, they took the bricks out of
Oh,
it.
they're gone here then.
And because I know she was so mad over that. Now this is what I can't understand with this Heritage Valley or whatever you call it. They're going to build this bicycle trail down here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're only going to have it on one side of the road, on our side of the road. They're going to come all the way up to Gilmartin Street with it.
All the way up Laurel.
All the way up Laurel, and
Yeah.
it's going to meet Gilmartin Street. But a long time ago, is this on this here thing yet?
Yeah.
A long time ago, they said that the borough owned where Grace Maron's house is now, where Jimmy Murphy's daughter lives, that the borough owned into the bottom step if they ever wanted to put a road in here.
Really?
And it came in behind where that tree is at Sean Osborne's, so that it came into our front garden a little bit too. So, in them days, they had no cars. Now they have one side parking on this street. The cars come down like I don't know what. There's older people on this street, there's kids, You go out, you can't see where you're going. The next block up there for a while they didn't have any cars very much at all. Now there's cars on both sides of the street. When the cars come over the bridge, you have to stop to let who's ever in and out to be going up and down Laurel Street. What are they going to do with the cars? They're going to make
Walkers and joggers.
They're going to make, but I mean with the cars on the road, if they're going to have a bike trail, where are the people? Now I share the driveway with him out here, his girlfriend and his truck. We get along good, and he's very good to me. He has a truck that he drives at work, and he has to have the truck here. That's his livelihood. And then the girlfriend has the car out there, but he has a little truck of his own. So I share the driveway. Well, all the way up. Some cars don't have any driveways at all, and they have 3 and 4 cars. So they're going to make places for the cars. So what are they going to do? I went to one meeting, and you couldn't even talk about that, but I don't know if they have the meetings now. I don't hear anything about it. But I did hear that they're going to start it again, that they're going to have it, they're going to start it. But don't forget, the highway, Wayne Street, is the busiest place in the town, with the cars flying up and down.
Oh yeah, that's very busy.
So, then they're going to go up by the church, and and then they're going to have a bicycle trail on this side of the road.
Yeah. Tom Cluffer was riding his bike from the trail from Gilmartin Street up towards the sewer plant, and he ran into a large bear, he told me.
Yeah, there's bear.
He turned around and went the other
there's
way.
lots of bear right there.
Yeah.
I was walking along there a couple of years ago.
You seen the bear? Wow.
I just made a U-turn and went the other way.
But it's very nice. I enjoy when you go out on the porch and you see the people on the bicycles.
Yeah.
And of course, on when they had the marathon, when they first started the marathon, Josephine Rogan and Mary Beth Cowley and myself one day went over to see the marathon over on the main street. And someone came along and they had oranges and they started giving them out. So we said, we'll have to do that next year. So the next year we got oranges and we cut them up in pieces, like 1 or 2 bags, and we took them over there. Well, then when they changed it from over there to over here, we started to give water. And we used to take the water out of the tap, out of the hose here, and fill it in jugs. Then it got so big that we needed more water. So we started taking up a collection in the neighborhood.
There's a lot of runners.
And then we got the water. I have some of the water from last year on the back porch because we didn't choose it all. And that's for this year. Well, different people like Jackie Lane and all of them used to come down and they used to help me with the thing. Well, then they got older. Well, then I couldn't tell you all the people that I got help from.
Really?
And then the ladies on the street and the kids. Last year it was, the year before it was a little bit tame. I don't know why. They didn't come that fast. But they come in packs. And then they were pouring the water in the cups, and then we start getting the little bottles and they're handing them the water. And one day this man, I happened to be out on the road trying to figure this out, doing this and that and the other. And this man was right there at the pole, and he kept saying, I have to get back. I have to get back. And I hollered to somebody, Sean or somebody, and they came and they got him and they put him in the chair on the front porch. And I said, I'll get you some orange juice. I got a glass of orange juice, I swear to God it was this high. He said, could I have another one? And I gave him another one. He came out with Gatorade. The next thing I came out and I said, where'd you get the quilt? He had him wrapped up in a quilt. And we called the paramedics are up and down. And then they came, and he was from New Jersey. And this was the 3rd marathon that he had to drop out of. And he was going out wrapped up in the ambulance got a quilt or a blanket and wrapped it up, and he said, thanks for taking care of me. And then he got to the end of the
Maybe started going into shock.
So they wanted to know what I gave them. And then I was having an awful lot of trouble with my eyes. and Dr. Arthur Jr. down in Peckville. He was taking care of my eyes, and he runs sometimes in my race. So one day, for not this race, but the last one, I got a call, and the girl said, "No, you know, Miss Rupp, there isn't anything wrong with your eyes, but doctor wants to see you. He has something for you." And he gave me a whole big box of caps with Jordan's eyes, and I handed them out to the people that were giving the water and that, and the box of sunglasses. And so we had the shirts, and the ladies that was giving the water, we had our picture taken. And I took it down to him, and he framed it. He has it in his office. The cheering squad for Dr. Arthur Jr. and he thinks a lot.
Wow. Here's an interesting
Any more
question.
questions?
Yeah, they had it. When you were sick, what kind of home remedies did your family use to treat illnesses?
Mustard plasters.
Really?
And Vicks.
Oh, wow.
Castoria?
Castor oil.
Castor oil.
Maybe
I
Castoria.
used to think Castoria.
Yeah.
Oh, mustard plaster. What's that?
They used to take the dry mustard. Now this is all I know about it. And they had a, I don't know, they used to call them flour bags, I think.
Uh-huh.
Put the mustard on the flour bags, and then they must put it in the oven to heat it or something, and then they put it on your chest.
Oh.
Or draw out or something?
I
Or?
don't know.
Here's an issue. Pretend that you're walking down the main street of your hometown when you were a child. Describe the stores, churches, or other buildings you'd see on your walk. If you were a young girl walking down the main street, what kind of buildings?
Well, there
would
was
you see?
Splain's Hardware. There was Grogan's Drugstore. There was Mary Lewis's dress shop. There was Betty Carney's dress shop. There was Drolic's store before burgers got in there. Drolic's was like little stuff. There was Egan's. There was Weingarten's. There was the Levine's. There was Carney's.
What kind of stores were there? Levine's and Carney's.
Clothing stores.
Clothing store. Okay.
They were men's clothing stores.
Egan's, was that a hardware store?
That was a hardware store.
I think I remember going in there when I was real small with my father.
Billy Hughes is there now.
Yeah, next to it. Yeah.
Intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Mary and Betty, they were dress stores.
There were no bars in town, were there?
Oh, there were, but I forget. There was Flannery's.
Yeah.
There was Flannery's bar.
Yeah.
Wasn't the one right up here on the corner?
Oh, yeah. There was Delaney's. That was up here. And there was, I don't know how many bars in Archibald. I couldn't remember them all.
There's a lot of them.
There was a lot, yeah.
How about
Joe
Eric?
Mellows. Joe Mellows was over there. And I could remember on the corner there were the garages, you know, the fellow that fixes the cars there across from Harrison's.
Okay.
That was a bar.
That was a bar too?
There was a long time ago, I didn't remember him. There was Johnny Beck's bar that was there. And then there was a Shorty, they used to call him. You know that fellow that, his father had a bar there?
Lorinto.
Yeah. And
Lorinto or something.
then that was a big gray bar. And when I used to go over there a lot, because my cousin Ann Burke lived over there, when you go by, the doors would be open and you could smell the old beer and all that stuff when you were going by. And along Monroe Street, there was like small houses. There was the Hinnigans lived there,
Mm-hmm.
and the Ormses,
Yes, I remember.
and
Sharon Orms, John Orms.
and there was a couple houses all together. They were like little. The porches like were right out on the sidewalk.
Did Probst have a store there right by the bridge?
Oh yeah.
My father said my grandmother bought her first refrigerator off him.
Oh, I don't remember selling fruit. I don't remember. Maybe he did.
Yeah, it was a used one, I
But
think.
they used to make head cheese, and that was good.
I never had. I looked at it and I no.
Oh, that. Do you know that we had people that came from New Jersey They'd
Really?
call up and they were kind of connected with my father's people. And they'd call up from New Jersey and say that we'd order it. And they'd take it back to New Jersey.
Wow.
Kenny had the recipe. I think he still has it.
Was
But
that
I-
Kenny's father or
That was
grandfather?
Kenny's grandfather.
His grandfather, wow.
That first started, and then the was brothers. There was Wilbert and Eddie. Wilbert was the uncle. He was the tall, thin one, and Kenny's father was the
I
big,
remember
heavy.
he was tall.
Then his father was the big, heavy stuff fellow.
Okay.
We used to trade with Mancousas, I remember, over there.
Yeah, Mancousas was
Yeah.
across from where the bank is.
My mom told me a story that I guess he had an altercation with the law and he was getting out of jail. And his father went to my grandmother and said, you know, I'm starting him in business. Would you, support him? So my grandmother started shopping there. And then my mom did too. I remember going down there. I was real small, maybe 6 years old, 5 years old. And the guy behind the counter had white hair. He used to give us cheese or a slice of meat or something.
There
Little
was
kids.
a lot of little stores then.
Yes, yeah.
There was Tony Petty or Tony Pitta, they used to call it. Was
Where
there?
where was
That was where Mancousas is.
Oh,
And one time when people didn't pay their bill, he put their names in the window.
Oh,
He had the whole big
wow.
really?
old thing there, all your name when you owe the money.
Where was Beely's store?
What?
There was a Beely, B-E-H-L-E, Beely, somewhere on Main Street. I have a picture of it.
Really?
And Howard Otto, that was his grandfather, one of his relatives, his ancestors that owned it. It was on Main Street.
There was I often heard my grandmother talk about the Dixon store.
Where was that?
It was someplace I don't know.
That was across where Frank Foot is.
Yeah.
Like when you drive in there, it's on the other side.
Okay.
Skoblik lived
Yeah.
there after, right?
Yeah.
I think that was a place there.
There was the Dixon store.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
That was a long time
But
ago.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was before you.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the Archibald Citizen newspaper?
I remember it, yes, but didn't they have the place up there behind it? Wasn't there some place up there
On this street, right up.
behind where Cecilia Philbin lived or
Yes.
someplace?
Yes, that's what
That was-
Next
Pastor told
door, I
us.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that in there.
That's
Was that a weekly paper? Or?
Yeah, I remember that coming around,
Really?
and
It was a big paper. I mean, it was
that had everything.
not like
Yeah,
today.
for the weekly.
Claire Marin then took that over for a while. I don't know whatever happened to the. He had a lot of that old stuff. I don't know if Maureen kept it or not.
Oh. Do you remember what the first motion picture you went to see?
No, but I remember that, and I remember Dick Cawley. He used to walk up and down the aisle over there, and if he made a noise, and he
With the
just
flashlight.
yeah, he'd just look at you.
Now with the flash.
The kids wouldn't do anything out of the way either.
My mom said her and a friend snuck in, and at the end of the movie, he caught them. And he's related. I guess she told a story to my grandmother. My grandmother said, "Oh, he should have let you go. He's related to you anyway," to my mom. But she snuck in and saw the whole picture, but he caught her on the way out. And yeah.
I remember going over there on Sunday afternoon, and you go up to Ken Baxter or Candy, and
I remember the bathrooms in the movie. So it was like going down to a dungeon around a circular stair.
yeah, but don't forget for a long time there was no bathrooms.
Oh, there's no bathrooms?
No, and between Flanders and the bathroom, a lot of people used to go out between.
boy.
Oh, rub that out.
Hmm.
Did you have an outhouse here at this house?
We did, but I never remembered.
Okay.
We didn't.
You know where my mom lived when they got married, 113 Cemetery Street down there? I remember I was small, I was 4 when we moved out there, I still remember, and we had an outhouse. I had my own potty in the house, but my parents had to go out to that outhouse, I still remember it. And she told, the stories she told, I wish I could have recorded them with this. She said that they had a party there when my mom was real small, and one of the guests came out to the bathroom and the glasses fell down. Well, they were expensive, so he fished them out, cleaned them up, and put them back down out of the outhouse.
Well, I know where it was down because it started down. The ground started going down in the back.
Oh,
You know, out here one time.
That's where the outhouse was?
Yeah.
that had to be tough.
Oh, and there's way down the back where you had to walk.
the snow and the rain
And of course, I remember the trains. There was trains on this side and trains on that side. And you could never have the picture straight on the wall with the way the trains used to go.
shake?
Yeah.
This was the O&W, the one
right,
down here?
Right,
Yeah.
And they all had steps. Like, we had set steps to go up, and you used to go up the steps and walk the tracks for a shortcut to go over town. And I remember the trestle down there that was taken out. And I know I went with, everybody wanted to go pick up the road. Carl Kraft and Jimmy Reap, and my father came with us. And I was afraid to go over the holes in the thing. Like trying to walk across the holes, and the river was down there. And I think I lost half of the blueberries that I picked down in the hole, trying to get. I was so afraid to get across. But then when the Heritage Valley, when they took that over, they sold that. It wasn't them that sold it. It was the fellow that owned the railroad. Did Bowman, or somebody was in on it.
That was higher down there.
And see, they took that out.
Yeah.
He got lots of the rock that they took out of there was beautiful.
How many breakers were
They
they
took
in
that
town?
all apart. Well, there was this one here, and I
The
remember
gravity,
there
that would
was
be-
one down in Winton. And was there one down around where the junkyard was, or no?
Wasn't there one
Back
up
in there.
at the base of number 5 Hill too?
I
Yeah.
believe there was.
That was probably an older one.
Yeah.
White Oak.
Yeah, this one here I think shut down when in the 40s, up the white.
Yeah, I
the
think it was
gravity.
in the 40s. Yeah,
The
because that's when my mother.
50s.
50s, really.
That's when my uncle had to go and take up this course, and then they had to move out of Archibald, and they went to Silver Springs. They were in Philadelphia for a while, and then they went to Silver Springs, Maryland. He got a pretty good job out of going out to that special course, whatever it was. It was while the war was going on, and they made certain things for the war, you know. And he had a good job down in Silver Spring.
Did your father or grandfather fight in any wars?
No.
But you did say you had that one granduncle
they
that was
just
in the
missed
Civil
it.
War.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I'll look up the records and see what I can find on him.
What was the name of it?
McGrail. But I forget now how to, McGrail, I think. But when I went to Ireland, see, I had a cousin from Erie, Pennsylvania. Well, her father worked in that silk mill over there. He had a good job in it over there. His name was Clements. They lived in that little house by that building there now that, I don't know if Kenny owns that or what, that double house. I think they lived around there in one of them houses over there. I can't think offhand now some of the names. But she had 2 adopted children from Ireland, and she had 2 other adopted children. And my cousin Nan Burke was her cousin, and she always wanted to go to Ireland. And then Ann McHale and McGowan. So one time we went to Ireland on a trip. She went over to see the orphanages where her 2 children were born. But they were all closed. But she did see where they were born.
Oh, wow.
And we had a good time. It was nice that we all were able to go. But what I'm getting at, the names are spelled different over in Ireland.
Yes.
Like there are different letters in them. It was different.
How about your name, Sam? M-O-T-Z or something? Yeah.
Yeah, they pronounced, my name was
Mazza, wasn't it?
Mazza, but they said in Italy it's pronounced Mazza. So my grandfather came over, didn't speak English. They asked him what his name was. He must have carried Matz. But they used to spell it M-O-T-Z.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, wow. Did you say your parents were
There's a lot
born
of
in this?
things like that.
Yeah, they were born
in this
in this country.
How about your grandparents? Were they overseas?
No, my grandmother Brown that lived here, she was born in around here. It was her mother that was born in Ireland or someplace. No, she wasn't born over there.
What was the Cherry Street factory when it was first built?
I don't know if that was a silk mill at one time.
Silk?
I don't know if it was a silk mill. Then it was a dress factory.
Yeah, I know. The kids.
But maybe it was a silk mill at one time. And then there was that factory there where
Curtis.
Ritus,
Reisner.
Reisner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a factory.
Yeah.
You said Colley's had a little store up here. Was there a Violante's market?
Yeah,
too?
Violante's was on the corner of Cherry Street and Pike Street.
Pike Street, yeah. Oh, okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I know where that was. Okay.
Yeah.
Where was Colley's? On that same street?
Right,
on
no,
Pike?
right here, up at the corner where Delaney's, where that gray house is,
Okay.
where Delaney's bar was.
Do you know that what that was earlier? Way back in the 1800s, that was a hotel. It was a Malone, not related to Tom Malone, the chief. It was Malone's Hotel, and he was a Civil War veteran. There were several Civil War veterans in town. I may have records for your granduncle. I'll get them for you if I do. But I have his records, and he owned a hotel and was right there on Pike Street.
Down here, down at the Gravity down here, where Ann Zagorowski lives, that was Brady's hotel. And he had a hotel down there for the miners, and they used to go there when they come out of the mines.
In her house, in Zagorowski's house?
Right,
Really?
that was a hotel.
Oh, my mom knew her, too.
And then where, I don't know the people that live there now, I don't know, but they're next to where the Hubbards lived. You know where they live down there?
On this side, right?
Yeah. Well, that's on that side.
Oh, that side?
Yeah, they're on, you know where Jackie McAndrew lives?
Yes.
Well, there's Jackie McAndrew and there's Hubbards.
Oh, okay.
And then in that back garden between Hubbards and where McCluskey's lived, I don't know the people's names that lived there now, there was a little store. Ruan's lived there now. I don't know if it was Ruan's had the store, and they sold the mining supplies.
Oh,
They
I
had,
didn't know that.
and then they turned it into a house later on. But I know Ruan's lived there now. Whether they had sold, because I remember when we were kids, there was something to do. And that creek down there, they used to fill the things with sand, and it wasn't any bigger than this room.
Right.
And that was where you used to go to swim.
Oh.
The water would come down, and they tried to block it in with the
Oh.
Must have been cold.
Yeah.
Did you ever swim at Colley's Dam? My mom
No,
did.
no.
Yeah, she went up there.
I didn't like the water.
Right.
I didn't like the water.
Oh.
And then the baseball field, I remember there was Claire Dooher and my father, and there was somebody else. And they used to go down there and work so hard and flood the field. And the field was it'd freeze over, you know, and the kids from all over would come down there. And over where Jimmy Siddons' house and them new houses down there, that was a swamp.
Really? Oh.
My father used to take me down on the sleigh for a sleigh ride. And we used to sleigh ride down on Lindy's Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no cars or anything like that. And when there'd be a big, no, the kids don't even sleigh ride.
Oh.
No.
It's too
Too
much electricity, too much,
Yeah.
too many things, all these things. It's crazy.
Do you have any further questions? We've been going about an hour and a half. We appreciate all your time.
Well, I don't know if, I don't want my silly voice there on that thing. I hope nobody's.
You sound good. You sound really good. But these stories we never heard before. A lot of them, I never knew there was a store down there. And
It was just a small little store, but they sold mine supplies.
Yeah.
Boy, never knew that.
The lamp, like they have the hats with the lights on.
Yeah.
You know.
I wish we had them today.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And there was, I'm trying to think. See, there was Curran's, where that brown house is up there. Curran's had a beer garden on that corner there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were related some way to Tessie Delaney, and then she bought that building. Tessie, but 2 buildings are for sale now, but nobody's. Kenny owned that. But poor Kenny's getting blamed for that. All the goings on that's up in that house, and Kenny don't own it. It's all from Jessup.
Oh, yeah?
The brown house, yeah.
You knew Alice Noon, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You know, her father, I think, was big into baseball. You mentioned baseball before. I think he had a team way back.
Oh, that baseball was big in Tom Malone and Ed's Dame. Cat, if you wanted anything on baseball, that's where Kathy Malone must have a lot of.
Yeah, we've been trying to interview it to get the picture of the town, what it's like.
And but like I said, I had a lot of stuff and I got rid of it.
Wow. Yeah, I remember Alice telling me, she said, oh, my father was big into baseball. He even had a team. He was a leader of the team. He was a manager. And that's way back around the turn of the century, around 1900. And I have pictures of him. But well, if you have no further questions, we won't take any more of your
Well,
time.
I'll have to look for that about the living wake. We all had such a good time at that.
I had something on that too, in the paper.
A living wake where somebody was still alive, but you have a wake for them?
Yeah,
at the
he
house?
wanted the wake.
Who was that
Like
again?
a party.
Ray Kiefer, he's died since.
Yeah.
He says you might go have a party while
And-
I'm alive.
But he died since.
Yeah, he
And
did, didn't
then Millie Grogan would say, and Betty Quinn and myself, we'd say, no more. If there's any more living wakes, it's going to be catered.
he? Yeah.
And have it go someplace. Oh, we were scrubbing the tables out in the VFW, and all of this stuff, you know, and it was.
Yeah, you have to clean up when you're done. No,
It was. This was even before we had to get it. Now it's a little bit more fixed up. We had to do an awful lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, he used to live right next to me over in Academy,
Wow.
where Harrison's parking lot
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Well,
That was where he lived.
okay.
The house on the corner
Wow.
was gone.
Mhm.
There was Ray,
And he has a Bobby.
and
He's a minister.
Bobby was a minister. Is he
But-
still alive?
I think so.
And Junior was the youngest.
Yeah,
Ed.
I remember Junior too, but I forgot
Ed
him.
Junior.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And her, I think Mrs. Kiefer's father lived with them. His name was Otto.
Yes, yes.
Otto.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
related
remember
to Howard Otto.
Too
Yeah.
much. I don't know.
Howard Otto has all the details on the Otto family in town.
Yeah.
There's probably I don't. There's probably some people that have things, but like I
Well-
said, there's people like there's not too many people my age even alive yet now.
That's why we want to talk to you, and we want to talk to them in town to find out. We just started the society, what, 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
And we're having scanning sessions up there every now and then where people take pictures and we'll scan them to preserve the history of the town.
Well, see,
And,
Nancy and I were going to go. Some Bobby Payon or somebody said, well, he met her over at election that we were going to go to a meeting one night. But see, Nancy can't drive too much at night, and I don't want to drive.
we could give you a ride if
I
you
go,
wanted to ride.
you know.
Sure.
So we just so this was better, you know. Like
Well, this
It's a shame of, like the pictures that are laying around, they just get thrown out.
well, that's what Nancy
Yes,
said. She
yes.
said she's just not able to be doing all everything like that. She probably has pictures and all that, and she can't get them, you know. And
Yeah.
but I had
Yes.
things. I had things and that I didn't think was valuable. I got rid of them, like different things. Like a long time ago, they were all buying antiques. Everybody was antiques. My mother didn't want antiques. She didn't like them. Well, a lot of stuff that we have. I remember my father going cleaning the cellar and everything. Everything would melt. And anyhow, because we don't have the room much around here.
Right.
So I had a couple things that I thought was valuable. That were valuable to me. I took them up, and they were saying their order. I took them up to that place. They didn't even look at them. Especially carnival glass. I guess at one time that was a high item, you know.
Carnival glass?
Yeah. Here's some of the stuff I have. You can see it here. But I like a lot. I gave out or gave away. And so you can come out here and look at them. I'll show
All right.
you some of the stuff.
Well, you know, I'll wrap up with the recording. I want to thank you for
Okay.
giving us this hour and a half. And it's about
Yeah,
a
boy,
good solid
time-
hour and a
time
half.
flies.
If there's any questions or whatever.
Okay, well, that's it for the interview with
Here.
Marie Rupp.